Welcome to another episode of Some Real Shit Podcasts, the podcast that takes you on a realistic journey with two healthcare workers who would like to try their hands at entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Stacy Radcliffe, and on today's show we have Shannon Sellers. Shannon is an entrepreneur, boss mom, advocate, life coach, motivational speaker. She does it all, y'all. She does it all. And she's here to teach us some real shit. Stay tuned.
Hey.
Hi, Shannon.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How is North Carolina right now?
Oh, it feels beautiful today. I was actually sitting out on the patio for a few minutes. It's nice and sunny with a light breeze, probably in the 70s today.
Oh my God.
What is it your way?
It's 87 degrees with lots of sun.
Oh. I found the older I get, the fall is like my favorite time of the year.
Oh, I experienced the fall when I lived in New Jersey.
So where are you at now?
I'm in California, so that means we don't get fall.
Oh, no, you don't get fall at all.
Yeah, all we get is summer, even during our winter.
Bless your heart. And I mean that in a positive way. So I'm excited. Yeah, I was like, some people think that's a negative thing, and I honestly mean it in a positive thing. So I'm like, no, I didn't mean it like that,
Oh, the Southern charm.
Yes. Go out of town,
No,
somebody and say, where are you from? I'm like you have to guess.
we just want to know which part of the South.
I am about 45 minutes from Raleigh. Most people know Raleigh because that's our state capital.
Oh, I have a friend in North Carolina. She is I would say she's an hour from Charlotte. That's all I ever hear her talk about is Charlotte.
Okay. She's probably towards the Burlington, Greensboro, Winston-Salem kind of area, which would be she's probably about 2 hours from the direction where I'm at.
Okay. All right. You guys are big.
Yeah, it is pretty big. And I'm not far from the mountains or far from the beach. I'm kind of in the middle of both.
Oh, okay. That's nice that you guys have a beach and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like I'm 2 hours from one, 3 hours from the other. So I kind of in a central location. So I got the best of both. Now I was going to say, so are you enjoying doing a podcast? Because it's got my curiosity piqued as to how you enjoy it.
I love it. I love doing it. When my friends were talking about it, like I was telling you, I was trying to get a group of people together and just so we can do stuff because, COVID's got us like crazy. And I wanted to go shooting because I've never gone legally shooting. I'm probably going to get arrested for this because I keep saying legally shooting. Because
I know you're like romancing the words. That is okay.
Yeah. And then we decided we were still like on adrenaline high. So we're like, let's go out to drink and go to a bar and listen to country music. And, we just shot some guns. So it's only right that we go
listen to country music. Yeah.
So we were sitting there and the bartender comes up to us and he was a cool dude. And his name was Mike, I believe. And we just all started talking. For a minute, we were there and we were just laughing and just having this good old girl talk and, the conversations that we were coming up. And then all of a sudden, we were all, we should do this in a podcast. And they're like, a podcast. And then we just started thinking of names and what it would be about. We like constructed this all over drinking. And then the bartender was coming over to us and he's like, you guys have a podcast? And we're like, nope, not yet, but we're working on it. It was funny because it was just like we constructed a podcast in like 5 minutes of us sitting there, all 5 minutes after drinking but it was fun. And then all of a sudden me being the type of person I am, I'm one of those people when I start something, I want to finish it. So
you're all in.
Yeah, I'm all in. And so I was looking into it and that's when I stumbled across Spotify and how easy it was to actually put together one and how easy it was to spread it out to different platforms and stuff. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I will definitely do this. And then I started telling everybody about it, and some people dropped off because life happens and they've got other things they got to take care of. And so we just started doing it and making shows, and we started spreading it out and telling other people, and somehow we just got to the part where we just got bigger from our friends and families and stuff. And then the other two people were just like, oh, I've got two jobs. The other person was like, well, I've got a lot going on. So me and Tamika are the only ones that were pretty much the last Mohican, because we're like, we're flexible. We can juggle both things. This would be a third job for some people. So we stuck to it and we've been at it. And so right now we're just changing gears and doing more interviews with like professional entrepreneurs and stuff, and to see how they do it, because for me, it's a business now. So I have to figure out how to run a business. It's not like Avon or all that other stuff we used to do. It's an actual business, and we've got to meet people, like-minded people, and see how they do it. So but you, on the other hand, you've already gotten the business sense and you already know how to do this. So the podcasting thing is going to be so easy for you once you get started.
It was a big difference. I mean, I do think probably being 30 years of a business owner that does help, but you'd be surprised at me working with my hands behind the chair is totally different than technology. So, one good thing is I think we're never too old to learn,
Hmm.
and we're never too old to start anything. People give me a hard time. I turned 50 this year in June. So, my thing for 50 was to be fit, fierce, fabulous, and flawsome at 50. And I told somebody, and I said, don't think just because I say fit is the size of my ass. I mean being healthy. So there's mentally healthy, physically healthy. Don't mean I got to be. I am a full figure girl. I own it, and I love myself, and that is okay. So my present to myself was this year was to like not have boundaries on things and celebrate my be a little selfish, because as a mama, most of the time if you're a great mom, you put yourself last. And
Hmm.
so since my boys now are 24 and 27, I can be a little selfish for myself. So I've went on a trip every month this year for my birthday. My birthday's in June, but I'm celebrating it every month. And the thing was too is an entrepreneurial spirit in me is I wanted to write a book, and then I got a little sidetracked from that. And so I'm like you, trying to find that niche. I love to empower people. I love to help people. And really, I don't have a certificate per se, but I've worked behind that beauty shop chair for 30 years, and I will take experience over a piece of paper any day to the week.
That's true.
And so I started doing vision boards, and I love that. And I hate to lose. So I'm like you, kind of when I'm in, I'm all in. And
Yeah.
since I started doing vision boards, I put it right where I get ready every morning, and I look at why I'm getting up and starting and what I'm doing. So from that, I started, couldn't stand to see the stuff on the vision board not accomplish it. So I kind of did it as an accountability and kind of throw up my face to kind of, be like, oh, you're doing this again or you're not doing this again. So it started making me accountable, and I started getting a lot accomplished, and it feels good. And as far as on the business end, I could share some stuff with you. I've learned that is some fun, free stuff that you can do to help on the business end of what you're doing. Because even though I've been in business for 30 years, what I'm stepping into now is totally opposite, kind of from what I've done. So it's a learning process for me.
Mm. Well, I'm happy to take any kind of um tea, lemonade, anything you're willing to offer, because like I said, this has been a roller coaster ride for me, and it's a good lesson. I'm learning lessons. Like, I don't take them personal. Like, when I might have missed two really good interviews because of the time zone. And so I'm learning to take into consideration that I'm opening up a bigger market than just my little area in California. So um, you know, that's one of the lessons. And of course I got all my license and everything, but uh, it's 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 fun. I think I'm on a high. That's what it is. I'm on such a high with like doing stuff and I feel like I'm just like this entrepreneurial mogul right now in my mind, you know, snapshots and all this other things. And I just got my banner today and I finally get to use it. I did it this morning with one of my guests that I had on the show and I was just so excited and he noticed it and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm glad somebody noticed my banner. I just got it in the mail."
Oh,
So, yeah. So, so how did you get to be a motivational speaker?
well, I've just really started talking on. I actually volunteered in church some. I have volunteered at a pregnancy center for people that less fortunate that were not looking at. I for years have mentored and coached some of my customers and some of their kids that were having some life struggles. Did a multi, a marketing company, and would get up in front and speak for them some. I did some national calls that were motivational for team members, helping them get excited to explode. So I've always done a little bit around and around with it, but
Mhm.
seems like this year it just really become passionate. Still love my beauty shop, not hating on that at all. Love my customers. I've been so blessed with some loyal people, but last December, I had to go for a knee replacement. Just standing on your feet for 30 years, it wears you out.
Mhm.
So it made me sit back and, appreciate what residual income is, or things that you could do that is not as physically tasking on you is what that job is. And I've always taught my boys to, always, try to do more, have a little more, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. I don't believe in plan A, B, C, D, or E, because I don't want to look like I don't believe that my plan is going to work. I just think you should have kind of sprouts off from your rooted path so that you can kind of have little avenues off what you're doing. Not necessarily that I think you need to have a second plan. I just think whatever you go at, you need to realize that you always have options, just like being a hairdresser. I didn't just stop at hairdresser. I got licensed by my state to be a teacher if I wanted to, which I decided not to because I made more money in the shop, but that was an option. I could have educated for a hair company, and I did. When my boys were younger, I educated for ISO, which was a company that had a patent on a perm, and they would send me to let's say I went to Tennessee, I went to New York, I went several places with them. I did it so that I could learn and be better at my craft, and I was just going to get paid for it at the same time. So I did that. I could be a state board inspector. So even though I was a hairdresser, I still gave myself other options in that same lane. If that, you see what I'm saying with the same
Mhm.
lane?
Yeah. Everybody's doing like YouTube videos of hair designs and stuff.
I have seen a lot of that, but I'd have to honestly say, as I've gotten older, my
Mhm.
passion, I love and I am very good and dedicated to who I do, but my passion to build that business is not there. I love it, but it's not what's pulling at my heartstrings. Something about when I have the ability to do people's hair and turn them around in the mirror
Mhm.
and make them smile and make them feel good. I've been really dedicated to when my customers come in. I've never had like a room full of customers. In the 30 years, I've always worked in a private room by myself because I understood the the promise and the loyalty of building a relationship. And it's hard to build a relationship when you have a big open space and a lot of the people that could hear the conversations. I needed them to
Mhm.
know that what they said stays in the shop and that they could open up. And I've had people laugh. I've had people cry. I have people that probably come back before they even need to get their hair done because they said it's their therapy session. So, that when I'm saying talking and motivating and helping people work through stuff, a hairdresser is a walking yellow pages. We're a marriage counselor, we're a sex counselor, we're, your children, the school, you name it. Most hairdressers can really go on a little bit or know enough about a little bit of everything to, talk to people about. So that was what I realized as I got older, that it was a passion, and it was very satisfying to, for one, have somebody trust you, for one, have somebody open up to you, and then for you to have the ability, even though I don't think I can fix everything, sometimes somebody just venting out and being able to talk about it and seeing another option or another way to look at it, that just that little bit of peace that they had, it was just amazing for me.
Yeah, I believe it because I feel the same way about being a phlebotomist. It's like you have to try and make people feel comfortable before the, because to them it's an experience that they're not comfortable with. So a lot of times when people come in, we build like that rapport. Like I have so many people that would come in and be like, "Hey," and they're like, "Oh no, girl, I'm not getting my blood work done today. I just came in to say hi." And I was like, "Hi." And then, when they do come in, it's like we're catching up on old times, and they're just like one guy, he was like, "My husband, um, it's like we don't even." I said, "Do you guys still have date night?" Like I read that's a thing. Like I'm a single person, so I really can't even talk about stuff, but I believe in date nights. I believe in connections and keeping the connection going and trying to keep a relationship strong. And so I was just having a conversation with him, and he's like, "You know what? Maybe I'll start trying to do a date night because I said, "Yeah, we get busy and we're doing all kinds of things." I'm like, "I'm a heterosexual woman. You're a gay man, and you both are like busy running lives and businesses and you don't have time. Me, I've got kids, I've got, things going on, and so we just have that, like, we build that rapport, and they come in and they'll talk to me and they'll say things, and it makes you feel good because you're communicating with someone and you're building a friendship, and that's what I love about what I do. Is it's not just that I get to help them out with getting their blood work in and finding out whatever needs to get done. Like I'm giving them a service, but more than just a service, a friendship. So I understand that part.
It does it. I mean, I knew how much I appreciated and loved my customers because some of the very customers I have done for the entire 30 years that I've been doing hair. But when COVID come and shut me down, I didn't really understand how much that relationship of seeing them weekly really affected me, and the love and the affection and the hugs and the smiles until I was shut down and couldn't do it. So it was kind of, COVID was a horrible thing, but it taught me a lot of life lessons, and it taught me I wanted more memories than material, and the fact, not to put all your eggs in one basket with just that job. So that kind of got me motivated and kind of got me excited to start again, start over something else, because I'm very blessed. I'm at a good point in my life. I'm 50. My kids are
Mhm.
grown. They're good. They're self sufficient. My health is good, minus needing knee surgery. So I've got a lot to live for. And 50 is such a pivotal time. But I mean, I'd say I'm living my best life right now.
That's awesome. If you listen to one of my episodes, I have a Dr. Mitchell Yaz on there, and he talks a lot about like muscle and tissues and all that, and he's very insightful. I've been in the medical field for a very long time, so if you want to listen to that, just because you were bringing up your knees and stuff, so just think about it
Yes.
before you have to do
Yes.
another surgery, because I know about surgeries, and I was like, every time I go to a doctor, they're like, "Oh, let's have a surgery." I'm like, "Nope, mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't,
You're
I
right.
don't
No,
want to
thank
do
you.
it. No, thank you." Yeah, they want to do a carpal tunnel surgery, and from everybody that I've talked to, because I interview people when it comes to stuff like this, and I'm like, "You had carpal tunnel?" They're like, "Yeah, girl, but that was like 5 years ago, and my carpal tunnel came back." And then when I was talking to Dr. Yas, it's like most of those things, you just need to strengthen the muscle that's around it because you somehow might have weakened it. And, that repetitive motion and the way people look at things is not always the right things. And you're talking to an orthopedic doctor and not necessarily somebody who deals with the muscle. So just keep that in mind when you decide that they throw another surgery thing at you again.
Yeah, because I went to physical therapy the first go round, even before prior to, and
Hmm.
you never convinced me that physical therapy working on a muscle would make your knees feel better, but it did. I had a fall, and it ended up making mine become bone on bone.
Mm.
So that's where we're at right now. I did the cortisone shots, which was not lovely, and the gel shots were no better. But I tried some other options. I'm like you though. I'm always up for options. I'm always up for alternative options. So I'll definitely listen to that and see just to make sure because I believe in treating your body good, doing it good, and I don't believe that everything's got to be a. I think everybody thinks that you should always have an easy button and a one stop thing, and life's just not that way.
Mhm.
So I think my youngest son, he loves to exercise. In fact, he's running a marathon next weekend. Go Dawson!
Mhm.
And it's just amazing that he struggled for weight for a long time, and he decided to make a change. And now he runs marathons and he works out, and he is so due diligent. I need some of his determination.
Yeah, the kids can always teach us some things. I'll tell you that much.
How old are yours?
My oldest is 27, going on
So,
40,
yes.
and my twins are 9.
Woo, bless your heart. You got a age gap in between.
I know. I know. It's different with the twins because it's two of them, and with the oldest, he was kind of like he got all my attention, and I didn't have to jump between the two of them, and so, but the twins, it's like, wow, okay, two different personalities sometimes. They feed off of each other. They love each other, then they hate each other. It's a whirlwind of emotions.
My sister's got a set of twins that are 11 now, and they are like they love each other, but they're totally opposite at the same time. But they're both amazing, and one of them's come up with type 1 diabetes, and the other one doesn't have it. But it's still nice to see how they support each other. But still, this year I've noticed a pivotal thing. They're starting to get their own identity away from each other, but they still totally love each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how these two are. It's like if I separate them, like if dad takes one when he comes out here, because I'm still a single mom, but his dad lives the dads live in New Jersey. So
Okay.
he comes and he'll take one to like to go hang out, and then the other one's just like, where's he going? When is he coming back? And probably just to go to the store for like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something like that. But just them being separated because they've never really been separated, so they get like nervous or something like that. So
It's good that they're passionate and love each other enough, and they'll probably be best friends forever. But probably the first to whip each other's tail, but to whip anybody else that mess with each other.
oh yeah, oh definitely. They are like that. So I was looking at a couple of your topics that you go over in your motivational speaker, and I love the one, stop playing a victim. Good Lord. I don't know how many times I have to tell people that.
I had a small group at my house
Mhm.
that I allowed. They come and met here, and once a week. And the very first night, I said, "This is the only time I'm going to allow you to be pessimistic. But I'm going to go around the room. Everybody can tell me something they're dealing with, and we'll just get it out." And I mean, I heard from, bad childhood, bad parents, bad relationship, bad husband, their weight. I mean, you just got away across the board, and I don't have a problem with anybody having a problem. What I have a problem is somebody, blaming everybody else, not taking their own responsibility and dwelling in the bad. So by the time we got through speaking, I said, number one, you know what? What is the past? I said, where is the past? They said, what do you mean? I said, where's the past? Is it in front of you or behind you? They said, behind you. I said, that's where you need to leave it. I said, I heard my preacher talk one time, and I've heard other people say it. When you're driving in a car, you can look in the rearview mirror to look behind you. It's a very small mirror. It's a reflection of what's behind you, just so you can watch out. So that's kind of your past. What is in front of you is the big windshield. And the windshield's huge and big for you to look out because what you're looking at is what you can see for the future or where you're going. And if you, constantly look in the rearview mirror of where you're being, you're going to end up wrecking because you're
Mhm.
not paying attention to where you're going. And people dwell on it. I tell people, I said, if you had a bad parent, then you know what? Break the cycle and be a great parent. If you come up from alcoholics, does not mean you have to become one. Don't be one. If your mama, I joked and said, look, my mama cooked good Southern country food my whole life. I said, and yes, that probably added some pounds to my tail. But when I become a grown ass woman and turned 18, or when I moved out of the house and I bought my groceries and I went shopping and I cooked, then guess what? It's on me. It ain't no longer on my mama. So it ain't no need for me to blame my mama. Now it's my fault. And,
Mm-hmm.
just like I told him in a bad relationship, like when I asked for divorce, I could tell you that my ex husband is not a horrible man. He's just not a great husband. And he's not a horrible father. Could be a little better, but not horrible. But I felt like that what I was showing my kids was not, I didn't want them to base what a good marriage is off how our marriage was. And we didn't fuss and beat and cheat. And now the problems, we just kind of grew apart and the affection went there. And communication and affection is a part of a strong relationship. So I broke the cycle. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and live like this and let them think that's how marriage is supposed to be, because it's not. So the things, I think everything we go through, it teaches us a lesson and we learn something. And it's a, it's a building block, because I think that if you've had some posh lifestyle that nothing ever bad's happened, or you don't go through tragedy, you don't grow to a degree, because nobody's life is absolutely perfect. But my biggest thing is taking what's hurt me or what's not worked out and using it for the better, and pushing through it and showing people. Because just like with you, you got 3 kids, and I'm sure you being a single parent, there's many times you wanted to throw up your hands and just give up, like, Lord Jesus, I am just done, I'm tired. But
Yesterday.
yesterday, and I had those moments, but I never would give up, because I knew that my kids were watching, and my kids are my greatest accomplishment ever. But I tell them, I said, your kids watch you. They watch you, see how you treat other people. They watch you, see how you take care of your parents. So treat your parents crappy. Guess what? That's how they're going to treat you, because that's what they've seen through you. I said, they watch when you give up. They watch when you have road rage. They watch when you have an attitude. They watch everything, because it is a learned pattern a lot of times. So I tell everybody, it's up to you to change the pattern if you didn't like what you had as a kid. Or if you're in an abusive relationship, start looking for a different type of man or woman. Don't keep looking for the same thing. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. So you got to change
Mm-hmm.
it. And sometimes it's not fun to change, but you got to do it. But my biggest thing is quit blaming everybody else. When we're adult, we've got to take some responsibility for ourselves. And we've got to just kind of push ourselves to step it up, plant your feet, get rooted in what you believe, and go for what you deserve. I think a lot of times people settle for what they think they should have and don't hold up for what they deserve.
Mm. Shannon, you're on some real shit right now.
Well, yeah, I I could tell you I could get on my soapbox, because whenever we were laughing about the dating apps and stuff, because of course, with COVID and life, where is there to really go? I mean, I don't mind going to the bar or something with my girlfriends, but I'm like you, I don't want to go just scope out some man at the bar. So I did do some of the social, media stuff, and I'm telling you, it's a form of entertainment, girl. I'm just telling you, is a form of entertainment. So people would always say, "What are you looking for?" Well, I am very brutal, and this is probably why I'm single, and I own it, and it is okay. And I said, "Let me just
Mm-hmm.
tell you what I'm not looking for." Number one, God knew I was a handful, and He gave me 2 daddies. I might have lost them both to cancer, 3 months ago, but and it's been years now. But He knew I was a handful. He took them out there, helped them out. So I don't need you to be my daddy. Okay, I've already had 2. I'm good. Number 2, I have 2 boys, which are grown ass men now. They can use you as a friend. I don't need you to be their daddy. They got a daddy. He can be a tailhole sometime, but they got a daddy. Number 3, I pay my bills before I met you. I will pay my bills why I met you, and I will probably pay my bills as I'm sending you down the road. So if you want to give me a little love and affection, that's great. But if not, take your ass down the road, because that's all I need. I am a self sufficient woman. I am not perfect, but I am not needy, and I am not begging for affection or love. So if that's too tall an order, go on. Mama said, Shannon, you're never going to date. I said, Mama, they ask. If they ask, I'm going to tell them, because that's who I am. I'm not going to not be who I am to appease somebody else. Too many people do that. I said, and eventually this woman's coming out anyway, so I might as well go ahead and show them in the beginning. But I have laughed and laughed. Did you ever do any social media? I mean, did you ever do any dating apps or anything?
No, I feel like Facebook is kind of like my dating app. I don't trust go. I did. Now that I thought back to it, I started one and I did one where I was doing a hiking picture, like I was walking away from the camera. Someone took the picture, and I don't even remember, to be honest with you, what dating app. It's out there somewhere. So if anybody sees a picture of me in black and white walking away, I was super skinny then. Uh, like, tell me about it because I have no idea. It was probably like Match.com or something. But for me, I don't know if I'm ready for dating apps. Mm.
it's
I
it's
think
it's
Facebook is my dating app.
Look, if you do it, because I've done it, and I did it, I honestly did it as a form of entertainment because I didn't even, I mean, I did go out some and then I didn't go out some, but it was just funny. Um, at some of the stuff, I did meet a guy out to eat one time, and I'm telling you, I talked to him on the phone. I met him in public. But if I was going to meet somebody like at 5 o'clock, girl, I'd be there at 4:30. I like to make them walk into me instead of me walking into them. Okay.
Mm.
So he come in the door, and I was like, "Oh Jesus, Lord have mercy." And I looked at him, and he come to sit down, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. Nobody else might not have told you this, but I'm gonna tell you this. Those pictures may have been you, but that was 20 years ago. Okay. So what you're doing is not okay." I said, if I can't trust you to put up a true picture of yourself, then, how can I trust you with anything else? I said, that would be like me photoshopping my picture and putting my tail skinny or whatever. I said, that is not okay. I said, I suggest you go home, you redo your profile, and you become honest. I'm woman enough to sit here and have a conversation with you, and I'll buy my own meal, but that is not okay. That is not okay. That is definitely not okay. He just kind of looked at me. I said, there ain't nothing you can say to justify it, because I'm telling you, that was an old picture. That is not how you look right now, and that is not okay. And I was like, I know somebody's probably thinking I was somebody's mama fussing at him beside the table, but that was not okay with me. And he said, "Can I call you?" I'm like, "No, you cannot call me." I was like, "No, I don't know." I said, "Go home and change your profile."
Wait, how long did you stay on the date for? Go home and change it. How long did you stay on the date for?
It was probably about 15 minutes, because he was like, "Well," I was like, "Look, dude, there's no excuse that is okay for that." I said, "I get on my girlfriends about putting filters on their face." And I'm like, "You can Snapchat and filter all you long, all day long, but you can't walk in front of somebody with some filter. They're going to see your wrinkles. They're going to see your cellulite. I don't know what you're trying to do, but they're going to see you at some point unless you just keep the lights off and it totally dark the whole time." I said, "So be who you are." And that's what I said. People need to learn to love yourself. I said, God give me wrinkles to remind me for how many years I've been here. He has given me stretch marks when I had my kids, the greatest things I've ever done. I don't look at them as scars. I look at them as warrior wounds, and he
Mhm,
gives me cellulite because he's got a good sense of humor to let me know that I always need to work on myself. So I just
mhm,
tell people, if you see my little girl on that little sheet I sent you that I got her to draw for me, I'm like, "Honey,
mhm.
don't draw me skinny because I ain't skinny. Give me some volume. Give me some volume. I'm okay with it." So if you'll pull up my girl on the bottom there, she's got hips, she's got thighs, she's got volume, because that is who I am, and I have to love myself. And if I don't, it's up to me to change it. But you got to not be ashamed of who you are.
Oh, that picture is sexy. I like that one.
Thank you, thank you. But I was just like,
Mhm,
build me for who I am. I'm not going to. I never will try to portray myself for something I'm not. What you see is what you get. I may hurt your feelings, I may hurt my own feelings, but that's in my heart of who I am. And if I ever say something to somebody, even if it's bold or
mhm.
abrasive, I do it with such heart that I'm not meaning it ugly. But I'm the type, don't ask my opinion if you don't really want to know it, because I'm honestly going to tell you. I had a lady ask me one time, I was doing some health and wellness stuff, and I still take it for myself, and it does wonderful. But she was heavy, and she had told me she had drunk a bunch of drinks and all the stuff, and I didn't fuss at her. And then she come up towards the end and said, I want to ask you a question. I was like, "Lord, please just be good to me. Don't give me a bad question." She said, "My daughter's gained a bunch of weight." And I mean, why do you think she's gained a bunch of weight? And I was like, "Shannon, shut up. Shannon, shut up. Do not say anything. Shannon, shut up." And I was like, "Well," I said, "do you want me to tell you what you want to hear, or do you want me to tell you what you need to hear? Because that's two totally different things." And now I
Mhm.
didn't do it for, I mean, I had a room full of people, but she had pulled me to the side and I was not in front of everybody. And she was like, "No, I want you to tell me the truth." I said, "Okay, number one, it's your fault." I said, "She's a minor. Guess what? You roll the groceries up in this house. You roll her through a drive through. You cook supper. She's a youngin'. It's your fault. It's not hers. It's yours." I said, "Even if you tell her she may not need this stuff, you don't need to have it in the house because guess what? You don't need it either." I said,
Mhm.
"If you want to have a little something to treat y'all, get in your car, go down the road, go to the store, have your treat, then come back home." I said, "But you can't have three or four people of kids in the house being able to eat this, that, or the other. One's heavier, and then you think that they should be able to eat in front of her. That's not fair." I said, "It is your fault." She started tearing up. I said, "Why are you crying?" Oh, she said, "You hurt my feelings." I said, "But you asked." I said, "People don't want to take responsibility for what they do, but you are her mama. You do all those things, and it is your fault." I
I'm
said,
I'm just
huh?
curious as to what answer she was looking for.
Well, that's what I say. People want a quick, easy button all the time, but I did tell her at the end, I said, "Look," I said, "I struggled with one of my kids having some weight issues, and it really bothered him. And I went to the pediatrician and I asked the pediatrician to send it to a nutritionist. And I went over there, and that poor nutritionist was like, "Well, do the food wheel." And I'm like, or the food pyramid. I'm like, "Really, I need you to help me kind of make a list of things because that's not helping me any." And I mean, I begged for help. Unfortunately, I still struggled. He struggled, and he's the one that's running marathons now. And I support him in everything he does. When he wants to eat healthy, I went through this house and we took 5 trash bags out of good food out of this house and give it away because he wanted to be healthy. And I had only in the house what we should have. That is the example people need to set. But people don't
Mhm.
want to sacrifice what they like and enjoy unless it's what they want most of the time. But they expect stuff to happen without, doing any work. It'd be like me expecting to get up skinny with no cellulite, rolls, or lumps anywhere, but I'm not getting on the bicycle or, walking down the road. I mean, it's not going to happen. When I get motivated and I get it to going, it'll happen. But I think that's what the woman was wanting, was me to give her some excuse about, well, it's probably just a metabolism. No, it's not a metabolism. Young children, they run and they go unless they have diabetes or so. I mean, it's a hand to mouth. Most time type 2 diabetes is a hand to mouth thing. So, yeah, I can get on a soapbox for that, but I'll have to say at 50, my blood pressure is perfect. My cholesterol is perfect. I don't have any health issues other than I have allergies. So I have been extremely blessed. I did swear to the doctor that I thought that I had a thyroid issue. I was trying to blame my weight on anything but my hand to mouth. And after several tests, I was, it was not my thyroid, which I knew it won't. I like to joke and pick, but it's just take responsibility and set examples. And the mama did start losing weight, and her daughter did too, whether they stuck with it or not. Everybody gets excited in the beginning and is all in, and then it gets old after a couple of weeks, and everybody doesn't do as good. But if you give people the right information, lead them the right way, you can't, do it for them, but you can at least feel good about showing them what direction they need to go in.
Yeah, that's true. And if you keep going, you don't like stop. That's the whole point of it too. I mean, I've been one of those people that go to the gym often, and then when I moved to New Jersey for a couple of years, and I used to walk, for exercise. And then after the kids, that's when I gained a lot of weight. And, I make a joke that I'm blaming the fact that my kid's dad is half Italian and Irish. So the Italian side got me fat, and all the good food in New Jersey got me fat. So I was blaming the food at one point, and I was like, okay, that's enough with that now. Like, really, you're not even really like happy with your weight because you're so used to being a certain weight. And I feel it because I would do like 50 things in one day. I could set a game plan to do the laundry, change the sheets in my room, paint this, clean the carpet. I could list off so many things that I could do in one day. And now that I gained some weight, I noticed that I probably get maybe four things done, and I fight with that because I know how my old self was versus my new self. And I'm just like, I know I could still do it because I see people doing it who are much older than me. My aunt's 60 years old and she goes hiking every morning and then she goes and does like Zumba in the afternoon. So I know there's a ton of things that I could probably do if I lose the weight. So I need to stop making excuses and get on the ball with that. So for that, those parents that, make excuses and stuff and want to continue, that's the part that's going to keep holding them back is the excuses.
It is, and it's yeah, and then not. I mean, you can hold the children accountable too, but I just think that especially when they're minor age, they don't have the knowledge that we do as adults, whether we use it or not. And let's be honest. I mean, my oldest and I mean, my youngest, we went to the mountains for a week. I think out of the whole week, we might have eat out twice because he just don't like that there's not as good of options out there all the time. So we got somewhere where we cooked.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes just making a few extra steps. I embrace the kitchen with my boys. I had two boys, but my boys can cook better than most women and not as healthy and as good. But I think if a lot of parents would take the time to learn a little more, research some recipes, take a family recipe, and I'll do that right now. I'll take something that we love and I will flip it into something a healthier version. Like we have become a lot of people don't understand the rutabaga can take on the consistency of a potato, even though it's a carb, it's
Mhm.
like a third less of a carb than your a traditional potato. So if we do stew beef and potatoes, the rutabagas potato, if I make homemade clam chowder, I'll put in the rutabaga instead of the potato. I will do homemade soup or make French fries, and I'll cut them out of that versus a regular potato. So it's just sometimes making small increment sacrifices or changes. It makes a big difference. It's sometimes I always say it's not always the big things; it's the little things that make the difference. Sometimes.
Oh my God. I need to come to your house and go in your kitchen and see what you're making and just smell it. Like I can't wait to just when you get this podcast up and running, it's like you're gonna branch out so much because you're probably gonna have one where you're like doing some sort of cooking show or something like that. That sounds great because I never think of rutabaga in anything, nothing. Absolutely not. Like I have my squash is my favorite vegetable and then very much all because I tried for a long time to do vegetarian.
I can't do that, girl. I'm a carnivore. I'm sorry. I've tried. I won't do it. I'm like, I like my meat. You know, bacon makes everything better. And I will tell you, they make sausage seasoning
Uh-huh.
that you can buy here at the grocery store. I'm not sure there, but I
Uh-huh.
can take ground turkey and ground chicken and mix
Hmm.
that sausage seasoning in there. And you
Hmm.
feel like you're having sausage, but you're not having all the fat that you have in pork and sausage.
Oh, that's nice because I can't eat pork.
So also, do you like Hershey bar with almonds?
Hershey bar with almonds. No, I'm a peanut person.
Okay. So does your kids like chocolate?
Oh, they love chocolate.
Okay. So you can take coconut oil, like the kind where you get at the store that's kind of more of a solid consistency. You know what I'm talking about, where you cooking oil and all that stuff is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you could take a little bit of coconut oil. I don't have my measurements in my head. The unsweetened cocoa, like you used to make old timey hot chocolate out of, the Hershey's unsweetened cocoa in the seasoning section or in the bacon section. You can take a couple of tablespoons or teaspoons of that. Then the PB2 is the pressed peanut butter that doesn't have all the oil and stuff that peanut butter does.
Hmm.
And you melt your coconut oil. You put your your unsweetened cocoa. You put your PB2. You can put just a touch of vanilla flavoring. And we do peppermint seeds. We've done sliced almonds. We've done um, what was, let's see, I like pistachios or stuff, but you mix that
Mhm.
in there. And
Mhm.
your healthier sugar alternatives are xylitol, erythritol, or true stevia. Watch true stevia because sometimes they'll add a lot of fillers. There is like 75 extra names to sugar. I can send that to you that people don't even realize when they flip it over that that's actually sugar, but that's your three healthier alternatives. But you melt that together and you can put it in the refrigerator or the freezer like 30 minutes, and you can
Mhm.
break pieces off, and it's like you're having a candy bar, but you're not having all the extra sugar and the oil and stuff that you normally have.
Mm. That sounds good because I I took sugar completely out of my diet. I went to this one doctor before and he was just like, "I'm gonna put you on this regimen." And it was all I took salt out and I took sugar out and anything that's preserved in salt, I couldn't eat it. Um because it affects your hormones and it affects your like vertigo and all that other stuff. So I took it out, and the only thing is I can't take stuff out of, I mean, unless I make it from scratch like you do, but when it comes to like chocolate, the only thing I do is I make sure I eat dark chocolate. I just
I
don't
like
eat
dark
anything.
chocolate.
Yeah. So I try to stay clear away from sugar, um any kind of sugar. But that would be a good recipe because, like I said, I try to stay away from any kind of sugar. And sometimes I find myself, indulging in it because I have to get the kids snacks. And I'm like, I don't even know why I'm getting the kids snacks for school. They're going to come home and eat the entire refrigerator anyway. So the snacks is ridiculous. And then you find the snacks in their backpack smushed up
Oh yeah.
next to their computers. And I'm just like, I am not paying for this school computer if it's all gelled up with all the stuff that you guys did not eat. So I stopped buying snacks because it was for the sole purpose because the school told us to bring snacks, but I'm not doing that anymore because it just winds up in the bag all smushed up a week later.
They don't even want it. You
No.
could also take your PB2 or whatever if you like peanut butter, and you
Mhm,
can mix a little bit of water with that. And I made like a Reese cup, but I would take that PB2 and mix a little
mhm,
water and let it be thicker, and then I would do the same mixture that I was telling you about, but I would do
mhm.
the muffin pan and drop like a little spoonful of the that PB2 and water in there, and I would put a little bit of chocolate over top of it and make a homemade Reese cup.
Oh, that's smart. You know what I
We've done.
usually do with my PB2? I just make it in my oatmeal shake.
See, I got some good shake recipes I'll share with you after the podcast, but there's some fun stuff to do in there too.
Oh, are
I
we
if
still doing a podcast?
I, well, I didn't want to just go through the whole cooking show and be like Paula Dean here or something, but I mean, I get passionate about being, um, just being creative. I love to do the creative thing and have the fun. Um, my son is healthier. I'll slice up a banana, and I know banana sugar, but the boy's running 15 miles. He can have a little bit. And so I'll slice that up and put a little bit of heavy whipping cream and a little bit of salt and a little bit of vanilla flavor, and if he wants the true stevia or the xylitol in there, and
Mhm.
you put it in a bowl, and it's like the inside of a banana pudding without the meringue and without the sugar and without the wafers, but it is good. But you could take the same thing and put it in a shake. I mean, there's all kinds of fun stuff that you can do. Like if you took your spinach, fresh spinach, and threw it in the freezer for like 30 minutes, and then you put it in your shake, it turns
Mhm.
into like a powder, but you're getting your greens, which helps with your bowels and gives you a healthier gut.
I
But it
love
don't
spinach.
but it doesn't taste, you don't, I mean, like for kids, you don't really taste the spinach because you froze it, and it's kind of turned into a powder form, so it's not like stringy, or you don't even really hardly see it so much like for the kids.
Hmm. This is all good information because you know what I did with my spinach, which is so time consuming, is I would blend it with water drain it, strain it, put it in the freezer, and I would go back because I would buy the big ones and then keep doing that. And then after a while, it's only good for like 5 days. And I'm like, this is so frustrating because I'm doing all of this work. And yet after a while, I'm throwing it away because I would get, it's kind of hard to get sea moss. And I would order sea moss through my son. He normally gets it, which he gets it from some, I don't know, like third world country type website or
Healthy.
something. Yeah. And he hasn't gotten any lately, and I was I need to get back into that because that's where I got most of like my energy and all my vitamins and stuff. So I need to definitely get that back in my diet. But I would usually mix like a little bit of that and I would keep everything in the freezer. But I probably should be putting, I have some spinach in there. I should go throw it in the freezer in a little bit just so I can have it ready because in the morning it is so hard for me to like cook a full meal. Like I've been on my days off and stuff, it's a lot easier to cook a full meal, but just getting up, making it, nope, you guys are just gonna eat toast. We're gonna eat the toast on the way out and that's it. We've gotta go. So breakfast is just not even an option anymore. So I need to like make because normally I put the oatmeal in the fridge and I leave it in
Like
water. I
overnight
don't cook it.
oatmeal.
Yeah, yeah, I don't even cook it. And then I have the PB2 and then I have the spinach. And I know it sounds gross because it's like the spinach and all that other stuff, but I try to incorporate like some fruits and stuff that takes away from. So it's a real thick, thick breakfast. So I don't feel hungry until maybe like noon,
You
and
ever done
that's
like the
when
chia seeds with it?
um I haven't in a while. I need to get some. I haven't gone like really good healthy shopping since the kids got back because the kids usually go with their dad for the summer and I kid you not, they gained weight every time they're
Bless
over
their
there
heart.
with their dad. Yeah, so it's like okay, so now I've got to like go, but when the kids come back, I have to retrain them because they're like, "Oh, can we have this? Let's go get some chips. Let's go get this." And I'm like, "No, you guys have to cut out dad's eating habits
I'll tell you
because
something fun for chips. I didn't mean to interrupt
uh-huh.
you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, no, no. You're
Okay,
fine.
so cheese, like the sliced cheese at town, not the stuff individually wrapped, but like the packs with the sliced cheese with the wax paper in between it.
The sliced cheese with the wax. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so take and put your oven. I think it's on like 225. I think
Mhm.
so. Take a piece of that cheese. You put some parchment paper down
Mhm.
and put your oven on like 225. And you take the cheese. Let the kids take the cheese, and you cut it in half and cut it in half. So you got 4 squares. You put it on the parchment paper and you put it in the oven and it bakes for, I think, like an hour. You do it for a right good while. And
Mhm.
when you pull that cheese out, that cheese turns into a cracker. Well, I like
Mm.
jalapeno seasoning, Cajun seasoning, all kinds of stuff like that. So when you first pull it out and it's hot, if you like a seasoning, you can put it on there because it'll kind of like absorb in. But and you let it cool off and it's there's your cheese crackers. And kale, if you wash kale, let it dry, you put it in the oven and put a little bit of oil on it. I think I have to look that up. And then the same thing, you put your seasoning and then you let it bake, or you can do it in the air fryer like no time. And there's like a chip consistency, and it actually tastes pretty good. Now, don't eat it and go speaking in front of a large group because when you smile, you look like you chewing tobacco, and it is not sexy at all. I'm telling you, you can't. I mean, you smile, it is not good. It is not good,
Did
but
you
it
have
tastes
bad
good.
experience?
It tastes good. As far as the is your twins boys?
Yeah.
Okay, so your muffin pan in your kitchen that you cook. So getting them excited. Jimmy Dean's makes a turkey sausage that's crumbled and in the freezer. It's in the regular section, usually at the top of the shelves here where I'm at, but
Mhm.
it's turkey sausage, so you could even have it. So I take like peppers, onions, mushrooms, whatever, jalapeno, whatever I like, and I
Mhm.
will saute them in just a touch of either olive oil or coconut oil. But you could let them do it, and then take you a mini muffin pan, and you drop a little bit of your mixture and your sausage into the muffin pan. Then take you a dozen eggs and you just whip them with a whip, and add a little bit of cheese, and you pour that over each little section, and then you top a little piece of cheese. If you can have dairy on the top, you bake them in the oven, and that is your breakfast on the go. So you do you a couple of mini muffin pans, you take them out, you put them in Ziploc bags in the morning, pull them out, you put them in the microwave for 10 or 15 seconds, and instead of that toast, which is a carb, and which makes them feel good but crashes them, you're giving them meat, you're giving them protein, you're giving them veggies. You can put spinach in there, and it tastes good. And a lot of times they love to eat it just because the fact they've made it, but it is a whole lot healthier and it's hearty.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
you're not in there tearing up the kitchen every morning. You're doing it ahead of time, and then in the morning they could throw it in the microwave for 15 seconds. You can throw it in there 15 seconds, but you grab it, and they'll slide right out. Just kind of take a little bit of your oil and put in the bottom of your muffin pan, like just rub it, but they slide right out, and they're delicious. If they
Hmm.
don't like the peppers, onions, and mushrooms, do that in yours to give you some more veggies and your spinach. But do like the sausage, egg, and cheese, but do the turkey sausage. But that way you feel like that'll sustain and stay with them longer, probably of a school day, than doing just the bread or toast. But it's
Oh, the
still not
toast.
bad for them.
Yeah, the toast is just like they have breakfast at school, but God knows what breakfast is at school. Sometimes they
Yeah.
come home and they're just like, I didn't eat lunch, and I'm like, why? And they're like, because they had hot dogs, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, got to make a whole nother meal because they didn't eat lunch, and now it's like almost dinner time.
But yeah, I mean, I've learned. My kids teach me. I teach them. We have fun. My oldest one, he's my old soul in a young body, and he is just so stinking sweet. And my youngest, he is my healthier fanatic. But I've been very blessed, and I can't imagine having them as twins. Woo! But they're good. They put up with their mama, so I'm blessed.
Yeah, the boys are really good with with moms and stuff. They stick to me like glue, and they kind of, they know mom's ups and downs and insides and outs, and they still like, you know strut through it, and they learn really good, and they're really smart. Because the other day they were just like, Mom, can we start cooking again? Because we had a moment when we were doing it, but you get busy with stuff, and they get lost in the sauce and stuff, where you kind of, you put a little bit too much attention on one subject, and you need to go back to the other one, especially when it comes down to, teaching your kids things, and they love it. I mean, for kids who like get upset when they, you know, if you tell a kid to get off a video game or whatever, and they get all angry, it's because of the fact that they don't really know anything else. And I try to explain that to their dad when their dad was buying this whole, like, that's my beef right now, is the video game. Like, I literally hate video games. I played video games when I was a kid, and I mean, I'm going back as far as Mario Brothers was my first game,
Girl,
but
I
I
remember
wasn't.
Atari.
Yeah.
Tells my age. I remember that Atari. You go ahead.
Right. And I still like Atari. And I even bought one. Like not too, like a year ago, I bought like this Nintendo thing that had all of the games from
The
back
older
in the day.
games.
Yeah, and I was happy for it. I would keep it in my room, and the kids would come in and they try to play it, and then, but for them it's like when they've already gotten into this, like, I guess, the pixels and the 3D and all that on with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox or whatever. My little game is kind of like just throwing sticks out the window compared to their game. But I loved it, and it was cool, and that's what I grew up with. And I played it until I couldn't play it anymore if I didn't make a level, and then I would get up and go outside and go play. And these kids, they just want to stay until it frustrates the heck out of them. So they want to punch something, and they're yelling, and then they're crying. And I was like, this is not what games are about. This is not teaching that. This is teaching them that, the worst things in the world. I mean, yeah, maybe if your kids are great at it, but, you know, My kids are like me. They're not gonna sit in front of a TV all day. I want to run around and do all kinds of stuff. So we just try to keep more motivated doing things around the house and doing all that, and they love it. Like I see you see difference in your children when you see them aside from just throwing them in front of the TV so that way you can go do whatever chore you're doing.
I agree. I think well, I think for me, I incorporate my boys can clean, they can cook, they can wash clothes, they can budget. Because I think as a parent, my goal was I've seen parents die early at all ages. I knew if something happened to me, I told my boys, I said, I want you to have a woman in your life because you want a companion. I want you to be
Hmm.
able to do everything for yourself. I don't ever want you to be in a relationship because you need somebody to do what you can't do. Because I'm going to raise you to do everything. And you're going to find your equal to complement you, not keep up the bad stuff or the stuff that you are too lazy to learn or whatever. So my boys cook, they clean, they wash clothes, wash dishes, buy groceries, they do all those things, and I think people handicap their kids when they don't allow them. And what's wrong with pulling out a board game? Yahtzee, rummy, phase 10, cut on the radio, cook some food like Super Bowl food, make it fun. But I think that people, obsessing over the TV or like you said, the games, I think kids get addicted to the games just like adults get addicted to stuff,
Hmm.
and they feel like a failure when they can't win on something that really I mean, what does it matter if you win that or not? But I mean, it'll kind of get in your head. So I agree with you on stuff like that. Like, we go camping, and when we go camping, we play Rummy Cube, we play Phase 10. It was so funny this last time we went camping. My son got all excited and competitive over Yahtzee, and we just sit there and play the radio. We cook out on the grill and we play board games. But I'm not having to contend with the telephone. I'm not having to contend with the streaming TV. I mean, it's just good quality time is what people used to do years ago that they won't make the time for at their home.
Yeah, dad actually, and I just want to applaud to you for doing that because I'm telling you, your sons are gonna be the best husbands for the right women.
Thank
Because
you.
nowadays, when you see men or you date a man and then you realize how lazy they are and the thing, you gotta kind of blame the parent for not being there and doing the stuff that you want to instill in them. And I don't want that for my boys. I don't want them to be like, okay, I gotta, and there's stuff maybe with the female that's not even right for them, only because she's the one that's been doing everything for them. So why would I even want my kids to be in that situation? Why? Okay, am I going to be alive to be finding the ideal woman for them? Maybe, hopefully.
You hope so.
Yeah, I hope. But it's like you have to be, not only do they teach the girls to be moms, and you have to teach the boys that it's not about I'm gonna raise you to be a good mom. It's not that. It's you got to raise them to survive. The goal is to raise your children in order to survive, so that way they're not drug addicts out on the street because they have no coping skills. When something bad happens to them, they just start to cry. And I was thinking back to when you were talking about because you were talking about the board game, and this one little boy, I remember it was on Facebook or whatever, and he was crying, and I think his parents videotaped him. He was so cute, and they were playing a board game, and he was like, "Why are you crying?" And the little boy was like, they were playing Monopoly, first of all, and the little boy he was like, "Taxes," and they were like, "What's wrong with taxes?" He's like, "I hate taxes." And it was the funniest thing I ever seen in my life, but yet the cutest thing, because you're not only getting that child ready for the future of taxes. Now he's gonna know
They're
100% to pay his taxes and not ever chip the IRS on taxes. I guarantee
no,
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you'll be going to jail. Go
yeah,
straight to jail. $200. Do not collect $200 and go.
exactly, exactly. So I really honestly think all parents need to understand what their roles are when it comes down to it. Because I remember a couple episodes that we have done, and we were really super passionate about it. So it's kind of seemed like we were mad, but it was just, some mothers tend to put a lot of effort into the relationship and less into the child, and they would take the new husband or whoever side over the child that you've raised, that you've known for so many years. And I said that's how, children get molested, because the moms, they don't pay attention to their children. They paying attention to the husband. And why would the husband ever do that? He's a new husband, he's wonderful, blah blah blah. And so we have touched on so many subjects that has to do with roles that parents, Tamika was saying that they were mad at their children because their children was failing in school, and here we are towards the end of the school year and you're mad. And
Well,
we were
you
like,
should have kept up with it the whole year.
yeah, towards the end of the school year, the person is literally mad. And I know she picked some of these information from, because Tamika knows a lot of people. Like she just knows a lot of people, and she might have a conversation with people and they call her up and they're upset. And she was just like, are you kidding me? I can hear her saying it too. Are you kidding me right now? You're sitting here mad at your kid. A whole semester has passed. Like school is over, and they're going to be left back, and you're sitting there mad at your child because your child did not finish homework. Where were you?
I agree. Look, that is the same thing I feel with that as I did with the food. Keep what they're supposed to do. That's your role, is to teach them, give them boundaries, give them expectations, and realize that's at the point you realize and you teach them there's consequences to your actions, good or bad. And you don't do your work, it shows. You do your work, you do good. So I think, and I guarantee you, half of the parents want to blame the teachers.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. But
Teachers don't get
I agree
respect.
with you.
Yeah, the teachers, they don't get respect. And you know what? Honestly, like almost every year for every teacher that my kids have, I always bring them like a little package, like a little during the holidays, I would get them something, because I know when the pandemic started and helping my kids with homework, I was like, how do these teachers, like, this is two children. Just, I'm sorry, these are two kids. I am teaching two kids. So I can imagine one teacher with 24 kids, and they do it, and they do it well. I mean, my son will go to school and they will learn a whole bunch of stuff. They come home and I start explaining something and they're like, "What?" They start crying. That's not how the teacher taught us. Like, I'm so confused. And I'm just like, "Oh God, no, I'm sorry. I need a like," and so that's why they create like workshops. If you need a little one-on-one with the teacher, we can help you out, because we know the parents are just like, haven't been in school in forever. And for me, I was taught a little differently. So when
I
I
was
see,
too.
yeah, so when I see how the teachers are teaching them now, and my son came home and he was doing a math problem and I was doing it differently. And he's like, "Oh, that's not how the teacher shows it." I said, "Show me how the teacher did it." And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna start doing it this way now, because
Yeah.
I've never done my math this way, but it looks a lot quicker when I do it this way." The estimating and all that. I always go the long route. So, I applaud the teachers for what they do with my kids, because you can't just trust anybody to spend 6 hours, 7 hours with your kids
Girl,
and give them
I
so much
challenged a
information.
principal over what you're just saying right there.
You what?
I challenged a principal over what you're saying.
Mm,
I My youngest had a little bit of a speech issue, and I had always paid out of my pocket, but I thought this is one time they should help him because he's, it was not major, but it was little.
mm-hmm.
So he got assessed by the speech pathologist, and he was kind of shy, so he wasn't even really hard to speak for. So a couple of days later, we're supposed to go in. I was married at the time, and he was in first grade. So my husband goes in, and they said, well, he does have a mild speech impediment, so we'll give him, some speech. And he's like, okay. So he comes out, he tells me. And so I'm supposed to go back the next day, which was the day I was off, to figure out the plan. Well, when I get in there,
Mhm.
the principal said, well, by the old standards, he qualified, but by the new ones, he's not. And I said, well, you should have thought about that before you told my husband yesterday. And I told my child he was going to get some help. And
Mhm.
she said, well, we just can't do it. I said, well, I'm not signing the papers. And she says, well, you need to sign the papers. I said, I'm not signing the papers. I said, I'll sign the papers if you put on there, parent is not satisfied and will not accept what you're saying. I'll sign it. Well, the teacher that he had, bless her heart, was so sweet. And she said, I don't agree with your decision either. So we finally, at a disagreement, signed the papers. And as what I said, I wouldn't sign them the regular way. And I don't cry. I do not cry. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think everybody needs to cry. If I cry, it's because I'm mad. And if I'm mad, don't get near me because it's not
Mhm.
good. I left that school in tears, and I called the teacher back. I said, look, I am not putting up with this. Well, a mad mama or a pissed off woman to do better work than the FBI. Okay. I'm just telling you. And I asked the teacher, I said, what is the next step? She said, well, the next step is to talk to the principal. I said, do I need to call her? She says, no, I'll call her for you. I said, okay. She said, well, it would be to talk to me, but I agree with you. Then it would be to go to the principal. I said, okay. So she done the principal. Well, like 2 days later, the principal calls me. She said, Shannon, this is, I won't say her name, but anyway, I wanted to talk to you about your son. And I just wanted to see why you were overreacting.
Overreacting.
I said, I tell you what, we'll have a meeting and let's see why you're underreacting. Okay. Well, so that I was mad. I was mad. I was mad. So I got to researching, girl. I'm telling you, I was doing background. I figured out what the principal was before she was a principal, what her job was, how much she made, where she lived. Well, when I look back at what she did, she had helped children with special needs and mild things. Well, honey, I go to research of that, and I found an article that somebody had interviewed, and in the article, it interviewed her, and in the article, it said that she believed that even children with mild speech impediments deserve help too. Girl, I printed that off, I highlighted it, and I went into her office. Well, I'd call the Board of Education, not talking junk about her. I just asked what my child's rights were to make sure I was doing the right protocol. Did not say one thing ugly about the principal at all. As
Mhm.
soon as I walked in her office, she said, I just want to let you know, I know you called a county office. I said, well, good. And I'm sure they told you that I just asked, what his rights were, that I won't talk junk about you. I said, and she had a teacher in there in our conference that was the read and literacy teacher, which happened to be my pastor's wife, which I had called. I said, and I'm sure your speech lady right here told you that I called and asked her too. That's probably why you got her in here. So now
Mhm.
that we're aware of what I knew that I'd already did, let's have our meeting. And so when I go for something, I'll go for the juggler. Do you hear what I'm saying? When it comes to somebody I love, I can advocate better than anything. So I've learned that when you ask a question and you want the answer you want, you shut up and you wait for them to answer. Because whenever you ask a hard question, a lot of times when there's a dead silence in the room, you end up speaking and it takes them off the obligation to answer the question. Well, usually who speaks first loses. It's not going to be me. So I will shut up and be silent and give you that mama stare for a long time. So I
Mhm.
got to talking with her and it got kind of heated to the point she got up, moved away from me, and put the other teacher in between us. But anyway, I was like, I am going. My husband was the chief of police at the time. I'm like, I'm fixing to get locked up. That's gonna be real great. So anyway, we were arguing and fussing and stuff, and I said, let's just get something straight. Let's just lay it out there. I said, do you agree that my child has a mild speech impediment? She said, well, yeah. I said, perfect. I took my papers, I slid it over to her. I said, read the highlighted section. And she had to read her comment in that article. I said, I knew when you called me here today
Mhm.
that you were saying that you were apologizing for being wrong about thinking I was overreacting. That by your article and your words right there, that you knew that you were calling me in here today to tell me you were going to help my child. I'm just going to sit right here so you can tell me what the plan is so I know how you're going to help them.
Mm.
She looked at me, I looked at her. She looked at me, I looked at her. She looked at the other teacher. She looked at me, I looked at her. I wouldn't have said nothing if we'd have sat there for 30 minutes. And I like to talk, as you can see. But I knew who spoke next was going to lose, and it wasn't going to be me. So finally, she looked at the other teacher. She said, will you just pull him out of class and work with him one on one? I know that's not the right protocol. Will you work with him one on one? Will you be satisfied with if he works? I said, yeah, I sure will. Give him some one on one. That's great. I said, I bring my child to school. I pay all this stuff. This is one time you should help do what you're supposed to do. I said, so no, if you want to pull him out and work one on one, that's great. I said, but when you told me okay, and I went home and told him, you won't making me a liar to my child. I said,
Mhm.
you told him you're going to help him, you're going to help him. I said, and furthermore, I said, you can be pissed off and mad at me all you want, because guess what? You don't teach my child. The teacher teaches my child. Because before I had went there, I had told her, I said, do you hire the teachers here? She said, yes. I said, are you confident in your ability to hire the teachers? Well, I had offended her and I did it on purpose. She said, yeah. I said, as parents, we have our children at school with this teacher 7 hours a day. And we're supposed to be confident in the ability that they're teaching our children what they're supposed to. Well, yes, yes, yes. I said, well, it's amazing to me as a parent. I'm supposed to trust that the teacher's going to give my child what they need to give. But yet, when the teacher asks you a question, you don't trust her ability as a teacher
Mm.
to give the comment. But as a parent, I'm supposed to teach her to love on my child and spend as many awake hours as a day with my child as I do. Is that right? Did I miss anything? So, honey, let me just tell you, the principal didn't talk to me half of the year, and I said, going down the hall, I said, you can be mad. I don't care. My children don't get in trouble. They don't go to your office. The teachers and my kids get along fine. I do not care that you like me. I do not care at all that you like me. So there was no love lost between us. But that's when you stand up and take up for your kids. That's when you put yourself out there. And that's when you ask the questions and you don't step down. And that's like when I said, show my roots, you plant your feet, even if you get your feelings hurt, but you do it for the right reasons. But she give them the help. And she wouldn't speak to me the rest of the year, but I didn't care because my kid got what he needed. So there you go.
Yeah, the goal was reached. I love the fact that you say the first one to speak loses. And that is always like showing your hand. You know, you want to see what the other person is thinking and give them the opportunity to say everything. Because me, sometimes I will like, well, I want to say back in the days when I was younger, I would fly off the handle when somebody says like trigger words, and then I would be like, okay, hold on, all they said was but, you know.
Yes.
Why am I getting mad at the word but? Let's finish this sentence right there. And so as I got older, I learned to sit still and, hear people out because, you might have missed something. So I love the fact that you said first person to speak. And it's just like that southern charm that I love. And you guys really honestly just sit patiently and the way you say things was just like it got her, but it also taught her something, and that's what she needed to learn was that this is what some people don't do that deep diving. Some people won't go and advocate for their children like that. They were just like, okay, okay, because I had similar issues with my son being bullied, and I called the school and I talked to the principal, and he's like, we don't condone bullying. So they had nipped it in the bud that year, but the same kids that were hanging around the one kid, like one kid went off to fifth grade or he went off to a different school. And but those same kids that were hanging around that one kid, he started it. But what they started doing is they waited till after he got off the bus before they start bullying. And I called up and for some reason, they transferred me to the counselor and which I don't know why it went to the counselor. If it goes to the principal, I guess because of them delegating work now, it goes to the counselor for the counselor to do it. And the counselor was kind of, she sounded very timid, very like she's very young. And I said, this has been going on since last year. And we talked to the principal. The principal fixed it with the other boy, but the other ones now think that they're in charge because the oldest kid is gone. Now, mind you, I put my kid in all kinds of activities. So if my son wanted to, like, I'm not bragging, but my son took a couple years of martial arts. But we don't want to go that route, and we don't want to do it because she was saying, well, it's not happening on school campus, so it's not much we can do. It happens when they get off the bus. I said, my son doesn't want to go to school because of these children. When he sees them coming around the corner in their little rat pack type of grouping, he runs the other direction. As if, why should you even be scared? So it doesn't matter. She's like, well, is there any way you can meet them at the bus stop and do what? I said, first of all, parenting or your role doesn't stop when just because they get off the bus. When they're at school, I can't reach out to these parents. I can't. I said, you guys need to go and talk to the parents and have that taken care of before it gets worse. And when I say it gets worse, it's just my mama bear attitude is going to come out.
Girl, I understand.
So she's like, okay, we'll talk to both of them. And because she was basically saying, like, there's a border. Here's the border. And once they get off the bus and they start picking on my son, that's when it starts. So I take over from this point on. I said, you don't want me to take over from this point on because I got them on the bus. I got them on, like when I was a kid and I used to get picked on, like I didn't go running to my parents to tell my mom. I didn't tell anybody I was getting picked on. I handle it the best way I knew how to handle it, and that was fighting. When you made
Girl,
me mad enough, I was like, one girl was like, oh, I just want to see if you can fight. And I don't know why that's a big thing back then, to see if you can fight. I don't care about fighting. All I care about is my books and maybe boys. That was it. And I just remember the girl picked on me so much to the point where I finally turned around and just kept on wailing on her to the point where her sister was just like, well, I want to see if you think you can beat me? I was like, you just saw what I did to your sister, and now you want to lose them too?
it's like, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on.
And
I
I'm
always
Jamaican.
picked on, I mean, I never was the bully, but anybody that bullied anybody, I'd always go after the bully. But I agree. There in Johnston County, it's in North Carolina where I live, we have a student accountability form that parents sign at the beginning of the year. I don't know if y'all do y'all have to sign anything like that?
Yes, it's like a booklet.
Okay, so I jerked out the student accountability form because we had somebody that was a little aggravating in the class. And I called the principal and I'm like, okay, so looking at this student accountability form, the student is supposed to be X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
He's doing all that. I said, as a parent, I'm supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z, doing it. As a teacher, she's doing the best she can. As a
Hmm.
principal, the one and only thing that you are truly responsible for is
Hmm.
providing a safe and conducive learning environment for my kid. And you're failing horribly. So, what are you going to do about it?
Mm.
Because on ours, that was the main, you know, thing is the principal. And I'm like, you're failing, and that is not okay. And what are you going to do about it? And there again, I was just real quiet. And and it's hard for me to be quiet, but when you do ask the hard question, like you said, if you
Mhm.
answer or the but or whatever, you give them the opportunity to hem haw not to answer your question. And I don't love being an advocate, but I have been put in that role many times. I could tell you a story of fighting the liver team for my Aunt Debbie's life. And it was, I mean, what I said was definitely Johnston County, definitely country, but it definitely got the attention. But sometimes you have to do the uncomfortable things because you're doing them for the people that you care about. You don't always get the posh lifestyle that you get to take the easy route. You don't have to be uncomfortable, and you don't have to put yourself in a vulnerable state, because if you love who you're going to protect, you got to be willing to do it.
Oh yeah, and you got to be able to not be so mad that you just start you just start cursing. Because I know
That
that's the first thing some people would go to.
Oh, it has. It has. I pray when I go in to fight, especially if it's a medical thing where it's an attitude thing. I'm like, Lord, let me go in as a Christian and come out as a non-praying one, I mean, a non-cussing one.
Yeah.
that that is our biggest thing that we do. But I don't know. I think that as you get older, I learned that you can be right or you can be happy as a parent. You can't always be both, or as a child of your parents or whatever. So I pick and choose my battles as I get older. But there's some battles you'll fight tooth or nail for as long as you live, and there's just some that you have to fight. I'm like like in school, fighting them, it was not fun. But being picked on or being bullied was not either. And I was going to take the lesser two evils. I'd rather get my tail whooped for taking up for myself than to
Hmm.
get my tail whooped by somebody at school for not taking up for myself.
That's true. That's so true. Um, yeah, I know it's the ride's not over yet because they're still high school, and I'm just looking back to when I was in high school. Middle school is probably like a little where it's testy. It's where you learn a lot of things and different personalities and stuff. So
And hormonal.
yeah, exactly. And now your kids want to be something that they're not because they're hanging out with certain people. And I mean, I can understand because I just met a friend and I was like, how come I don't remember you from high school? Like, I don't see you in the yearbook. He's like, I tested out. He was over it. He was literally over it. And I don't blame him at all because I was just like, why didn't I think of that? Oh my God, this guy's a genius. God, I hated I mean, I started to like high school because I accepted it, but I mean, throughout the years, like, I mean, there was fights where it was blacks against Mexicans, and I was like, I'm not in that crowd. Like, I'm not a gang banger. Like, our nickname, just because we had little cliques in high school, was BMW because we were black, Mexican, and white. And then
Oh,
when we added on the Asian, then we became black, Mexican, white, and Asian. So BMWA. And that was like our little clique. And our street colors were the Disney colors. So we would take like school pictures with our Disney shirt on. So that's how literally gangbangerish we were in high school. And because California, it's all about the gangs and stuff. But Um, I just remember some girl said the N word and she was Spanish and she was a cousin to one of my friends and I was like, "Oh, that's so rude." And she's like, "What you want to do about it? You want to fight after school?" And I'm like looking at her and I'm like, "I guess like I really don't want to fight you because I really don't need to, but you did say the N word, so I guess I have to." And this was my mentality. This was my mentality in high school. And then when I got, and I kid you not, I got to like I don't this is one of the memorable things that I remember in high school, only because it was funny when I look back at it. And I got to the mall and we were actually fighting in the mall. Now that I think about it, this is like a public place and we're fighting. And I don't know why it was the way it was, but maybe I realized I wasn't as a skilled fighter. Maybe I wasn't mad enough to really win this fight. And I remember my friend that I had a class with, which was her cousin, said to the girl, "Hey, she's not a gangbanger. She's not with that Crips or whatever thing." And she's like, "Oh no, but you got mad." I said, "Yeah, because you said the N word." And she's like, "Because I was talking about the other people." And I was like, "Well, you say it to anybody, they're gonna get mad. You know what I mean? Anybody within the vicinity, you might want to choose another word if you're mad at that individual." So, um, she was like, "Well, do you still want to fight?" And this is how stupid high school kids are, like literally so stupid. She's like, "You want to fight?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I got my butt kicked that day. And
But you stood up for
yeah,
what you believed in. So
I did because you can't walk away from something like that. But I
no.
just think back to it, it was just like, God, I was so stupid, and why can I not test out of high school? I would have avoided all of these stupid little incidents.
Everybody's like, "You're gonna miss high school." I'm like, "No, I'm not." "You're gonna miss school." "No, I'm not." You're gonna, I'm like, I think that it's a process that we need to go through. And I mean, not all that was horrible, but I was just school was not my thing. I did it because I had to, but it was not my passion for sure.
Mm, yeah, I think I wanted to skip everything and just go straight to college because college, I feel like, was where you reinvented yourself, regardless of what age you were when you go back. And I felt like I kind of lived in college like it was the fun, like it was a hobby for me. Like I probably would have just been done with everything, but I was just like, oh no, I'm gonna join this group and I'm gonna do this. And hey, girl, like I was all excited about college. Driving there every day after my my part-time job. So um but I advise like a lot of kids, like when you're in high school, learn everything because that's the most inexpensive school you're gonna get, and you're
You
gonna
better
learn.
believe it.
Yeah, you're gonna learn everything that you need to learn. So encourage parents encourage their children to actually like learn everything in high school, learn calculus, learn all of that. So by the time you even get to college, it's absolutely nothing and it's less money because I can't imagine how much money I have put into college right now just because I had to start my classes. English, I was fine. Like I'm already at the point of writing a book, in high school. But for my math courses, I was like, I hated math. So it was like, oh my God, I gotta take what? At least it wasn't arithmetic all over again, but algebra? Okay, fine.
See, I liked math. English, I love, like, if I had to do a 3-point thesis, let me just get up and say it. Don't let me have to write it down because it got on my nerves. I could never get the paper to flow like I said it. So it was funny with that because I would tell you a key thing if you publicly speak and you get nervous, if you wear glasses or contacts, right
Mm-hmm,
before you get, I was in high school and I had to do a thesis. And right before, like the day before, I had went to get contacts. Girl, they were blistering my eyes. I couldn't hardly see nothing. So I finally took them out right before I went to speak. I
mm-hmm.
give the best speech you'd ever seen. I looked everybody eye to eye because I was blind as a bat. I could, if they could have been flipping me off, and I wouldn't have seen it. But I made a 99 on that thing, girl, speaking because I couldn't see it. So if I have to go somewhere where you think somebody's gonna make you a little nervous, you take your contacts off. You can look at everybody in the eye. You can give them a serious eye, but you can't see nothing because you're blurry because you have your, vision, enhanced, prior to taking it off. So that is a good fun thing if you have vision issues. Take your glasses or your contacts off before you speak. You can do eye contact and you can't really get off because you can't see nothing.
Oh, that's if you have like bad eyes. Unfortunately for me, I just can't see up close. So if I have to look out in the crowd, I will see those people flipping me off.
See, I
So
can see perfect close up. Can't see nothing far off. So it was good for me. I'm telling you, I was like, okay, I got this.
there's a
Love
lot
the
of
math.
people that are. There's a lot of people that are math people, and like my kid's dad, like he will run rings around me, and like we'll do like a little when we were doing it with the kids, we'll pick like some a problem that the kids are doing, and we're like, okay, because obviously we all do it differently, and he would be like, okay, I'm gonna do it my way, and the kids would do it their way, and I do it my way, and I'll be sitting there just like, okay, all right, I got this. And they'll be like, what? How did you? Oh, yeah, I forgot to do round this off too. So it's been a struggle for me, like through middle school. And, as I got to college, it actually got better. So, but,
Well, that's what makes the world go round. It's great. There's everybody's strength. There's some people's weakness, and vice versa. It'd be a boring world if we were all perfect and great at the same thing.
oh, yeah. So that kind of falls into your women empowerment. And I wanted to touch on that so much because a lot of times you will find women, for example, like I love watching the Kardashian shows. I watched it since I was growing up with Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and now I think it's just the Kardashians. And so I keep up with it and I watch it, and a lot of people are like, "You watch what? You do what?" And I'm like, "What's wrong with that?" And they're just like, "I don't see nothing wrong with what they're doing." And people find fault with it, and I'm just like, "How can you guys not be appreciative of a woman taking a bad situation that she got into and turning that around to the positive?" And they're like, "Ah, she probably leaked that tape herself." I'm like, even if she leaked the tape, even if it was
She's
like a
still going through
misunderstanding,
the drama and hell of it being out there.
they're still going through. And it's like the Tommy and Pamela Anderson thing.
Anderson.
Like, yeah, and how, like, when she was talking about it, I was like, yeah, I can't imagine just having that tape leaked. I'd be so embarrassed. And I mean, as gorgeous as she is, like, it's still embarrassing, you know?
It's
And she had to
easy
own
for
it.
everybody to say what they do, but until you have drove that lane or been in it, don't judge for what you've not been through. And if I'd have done half of everything I've been accused of, I wouldn't even have time to do hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it's so easy for people to do that, but um, I laugh at the shop and say, look, and I love men. This sounds like I'm against men, but I'm not. But I love to empower women so good. But if a man gets older and wrinkled, he's debonair. A woman is a hag. If a man gets gray hair, he's distinguished. If a woman gets gray hair, she's just old and wilting away. If a man gets overweight, he's building a shelter to protect his tool. If a woman gets overweight, she's just let her fat ass go. And I don't care how you look at it, it ain't fair. It ain't fair. And it drives me crazy because women get judged on a different scale as men all day long. All day
Oh,
long. We are
absolutely.
held to a different standard. And don't mean it ugly. We're the ones having the babies. We're the ones that go into delivery. My ex did not want to get fixed. And I'm like, dude, I've had two babies, 8 pounds, 6 ounces. One I had all natural because if I have a baby, you need to get fixed, not me. Well, I'm not getting fixed. I said, all right, I'm going to take this 2 liter Pepsi bottle and cram it up your tail. When you deliver the 2 liter bottle and you've been through what I've been through, then I'll go get fixed. I said, if you're willing to go through it. So, for women, I love men and men are positions, but and I think there's some jobs that women are better at and some jobs that men are better at. But I see the pay difference and I see a lot of the crazy stuff. And it's not that I'm a chauvinist at all, but I believe that women back in the day were belittled to stay at home and do stuff. And you know, us women, we get up, we raise the kids, we work the jobs, we come home, do the jobs, we do the homework, the teacher conferences. And there's some men that do it too, but I just feel like that women sometimes don't value their worth for what it should be because they feel like they're capped down from what everybody else says. If that does that make sense? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand
And
100%.
I love for women to love and embrace themselves for whatever size they are. And if they don't like what they are, they can change it. I love to see them, believe in themselves and set good examples. I love to see women that are successful at their jobs. And when I say a successful job, if a woman is a stay at home mom and she has got good kids, she has supper cooked, she has the house clean, and she does everything good. That's a successful job. It's not always what my almighty paycheck brings home because the backbone for a women, for women is being that support role. Um, but I do believe in just getting people excited and women to love themselves and believe that they can accomplish stuff no matter what their education is or not. I mean, just believe in themselves and love themselves no matter what. Work on yourself. If you don't like where you're at, I always say if you don't like where you're at and you're struggling, you reach up and get somebody to pull you up. If you're doing a good thing and you're excelling and somebody else behind you is struggling, then you reach your hand back and you pull somebody else up. But you just always be willing to one up, either one up yourself or one up somebody else.
Amen. Amen. I don't even know if I could add to that because you said everything that needed to be said on that note. Um, it's so hard being a woman to begin with, just because of everything we have to do. I mean, we're the ones that have to give birth to um children,
Yes.
and sometimes like I don't want to say anything about like, you know, like for example, I remember talking to someone and they were in the transgender world and I was like, you know what? To be honest with you, I just don't understand why men want to become women. I honestly, if I was going to be transgender, I would want to do the opposite because I feel like I would probably get paid more. I would be able to be, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah,
thinking because
I do.
the amount of stuff that women do, we go through, the bleeding, the hysterectomies,
Oh, yeah,
the huh?
yeah, I agree. Yes. I'm saying amen. Go keep on, girl. Keep on.
Yeah. Just giving birth to children alone and ruining your body and the possibility that nowadays we survive childbirth, but back in the days, there was a possibility. I think I was watching Game of Thrones, not Game of Thrones, the spin-off to Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, and because I was trying to catch up for this one podcast, and it was like I forgot how hard it was to be a woman back then. Now it's harder, but you get a little bit, but you still get objectified when you're doing like when you're in Hollywood, you have to dress a certain way, you have to look a certain way.
Got to
Men
be a
don't,
certain size.
yeah, yeah. So I
Um,
applaud like people that who are making changes to that because men are always going to want you to look a certain way because they see this and they think that it's acceptable. But when in actuality, when they get into a relationship with a woman, they don't really care about if she gained 5 pounds or 10 pounds. Like, is that gonna change? It might, depending on what she's eating, but if she's just eating the same thing and she gains some more weight, like, is her personality change? It matters about the personality, not her look.
I say that when you love somebody for what's on the inside. The outer shell may change, but most of the time, for somebody, the inner shell does not. So how can people be so shallow to judge somebody just by their cover? Because some of the prettiest people in the world are the ugliest on the inside, and vice versa. I'd rather somebody not be perfect and treat me good than to be perfect and not treat me good.
Yep, yep.
But women are judged on a different level for that. And that's when I say people have to learn to love themselves. Because if I don't love myself, I saw a thing one time. No, I was listening to a radio show. It said, in order to love yourself and to truly know if you love yourself, for 5 days in a row, when you get up in the morning, you get ready naked. If it makes you nauseated or sick, you probably need to change. And so I was like, well, that sounds like a good idea. So for 5 days in a row, I was like, holy crap. So I lost like 50 pounds after that.
Oh
But,
my God.
but the inside of me was still the same. But, and the thing was, I did it for nobody but for me because people are too busy changing everything about themselves and their lives to appease somebody else. And a lot of times they get miserable because they forget who's really important, and that is them. And that's when I tell people, if you want to lose weight, if you want to do it for you and let somebody else have the reward of enjoying the benefits of it. But you do it for you, because if you're doing it for somebody else, it's not for the right reasons and you won't stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you, I am a full figure woman. I'm easily sometimes 14. If I have a really good weekend, I might be a 16, but I embrace it. And If I'm going to speak or something, I'll demand as much of the room as a size 16 as a size 0 because I love who I am. Confidence is not a size, a shape, or a color, it's an attitude. And there's a difference between confidence and cocky. It's not cocky. I just know that I can bring something to the table. I own it, and I'm okay with that. And that is much more attractive than being perfect in size and body to me. Maybe not to everybody else, but to me, and that's who it matters for is me. And so if I can do it for me and I'm satisfied with me, then I'm okay with it.
That's beautifully said. I'll say that. Well, this is very motivational, and I love the fact that you are able to express all of this because sometimes I know I lose the words to say things. Like it's always on the tip of my tongue to say it, but you have such a beautiful spirit that you are able to help out all these people to discuss this because even though that mom did not want to hear what you said, it still left a seed in her to where she actually, and maybe she didn't jump at the idea at first. Maybe taking the daughter to the pediatrician is what she was just like, okay, this is the second person to say this to me. So that was probably what she needed. Because sometimes you go to the pediatrician and you be like, yeah, okay, maybe I'll do it because the pediatrician said so. But now it's not just the pediatrician, it's someone else. So, you know, being able to help those people out and different people, women in general, um, just to see that sometimes because you don't always have somebody to tell you you're wrong because you go through life thinking you're doing things right. And like even when a friend offered to critique my podcast, I was like, no, because I was critiqued by someone else and they were kind of wrong because they were just like, well, you should ask more questions. And I was like, if I have a good guess, I can ask one question and that guess will just
Go
flow.
on with it.
Yeah, exactly. And off that one question, criticism, I was just like, But then I realized, you got to realize who you're talking to. And so when I thought about it, I was like, he'll probably give me great advice because he knows he does marketing and he knows what he's talking about. So I don't see why I wouldn't, deal with someone like that. But you just don't have someone walking behind you like your parents do with children and telling you, well, you're doing this wrong. As an adult, like this is the point. You just got to start figuring it out for yourself, or you start getting self-help videos or watching YouTube videos on how to do things, how to make changes in your life. And I feel like people like you who are a motivational speaker and a life coach and you do so much, you're an entrepreneur, and now you're going to be working on a book. And hopefully, I'm hoping that you start a podcast because I will definitely listen to it.
Well, you'll have to be my guest for sure.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to. I really love the name that you're even considering too, because did we say did you confirm that it's show your roots or show my
I
roots?
have actually branded the in my state the LLC is showing my roots because I thought with my 30 years experience behind the chair
Mm-hmm.
and the fact of the tree and how I think the roots and the scars and the things that you don't see and it binds and gives you a firm foundation. I just think it is beautiful and sexy when you think of the tree of life and the whole, and I don't mean sexy in that sense, but it's just beautiful and sexy of what a woman's willing to sacrifice of herself and to give to support and be used. And when I say used, I don't mean in a relationship part, but as a family member to be the foundation a lot of times to keep everything together.
Yeah.
And um, it's just beautiful me with the roots and the definition of roots and thinking of the tree trunk and spreading your arms up as the branches is supporting and holding people. I just, I actually have somebody draw me a logo of that right now. The woman silhouette is the tree trunk doing the roots and the branches. And I've seen some, but I little unique and different. So I want it in my own color scheme and my own thing. So I have a lady drawing it up for me right now, but showing my roots, because that is, the things and the scars and the good and the stories you have has made you who you are. So embrace it, love it, learn from it, be rooted in it. And either if it's great, spread it, share it. If it won't good, spread it, share it. So everybody maybe won't make the same mistakes, but I think just love yourself and being proud of who you are.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Shannon, for
You're
being
welcome.
on the
Thank you.
show. This has been an awesome experience and the longest I've ever been on an episode. So I love it. So we got real deep into it. So I appreciate you and I appreciate everything that you do for women empowerment, for teaching people to love themselves. And I hope to probably someday come to North Carolina and we go on this journey together.
There you go. Well, I
Thank you.
look at it as the beginning to a long lasting relationship.
Oh, definitely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and you have a great day. And if you ever need me again, by all means, call.
Thank you for listening to Some Real Shit Podcasts. I would like to thank Miss Shannon Sellers for sharing her knowledge and contribution to the empowerment. I am your host, Stacy Radcliffe. Keep checking for new episodes. I have 4 more episodes left, including the finale to end this season. Then I will be in the studios preparing to launch the YouTube video. Some Real Shit Podcast is still evolving and keeping you up to date on most audio platforms and video Spotify. To view my process and everyday works, check me out on Facebook at Radical Chick. Instagram is Some Real Shit. TikTok, Some Real Shit Podcast. Twitter, Some Real Shit Podcast. I am your host. Thank you again.